We're in the middle of a volatile and reckless mess. And here's the proposition. Regime change in Iran floated by President Trump in the aftermath of Operation Midnight Hammer. The US-Israeli bombardment of Iran's nuclear infrastructure. Is that a credible threat or fantasy politics born of hubris and historical amnesia and wish thinking by President Trump? The absurdity, the nonsense of mania. In this last week, 7 American B-2 bombers dropped GBU-57 bunker busters on Iran's nuclear facilities at Fordow, Natanz and Esfahan, and a US submarine launched Tomahawk missiles. This unprecedented strike was, we're told, not about regime change, but about nuclear deterrence. Yet within hours, Donald Trump contradicted his own officials, musing online, if the Iranian regime can't make Iran great again, why not regime change? That wasn't policy. That's provocation masquerading as policy. That's a man in a wig changing what is being said on a whim. Iran responded predictably, retaliatory strikes on Israel, threats to close the Strait of Hormuz. In fact, the Iranian parliament has now voted unanimously to close the Strait of Hormuz. That's where 20% of world oil comes from. If we're worried about the price of oil now, Trump has guaranteed the price of oil will go up. And renewed operations by Houthi forces in the Red Sea. But the more interesting development is internal. 10 IRGC officers dead, Mossad operatives allegedly decimating Iran's nuclear science core, persistent rumours about Supreme Leader Khamenei's vulnerability. And does this point to a crumbling regime? Not quite. Iran is many things, but it's not Syria. As Professor Narges Bajochi points out, the Iranian state has institutions, robust, redundant, ruthless, that survived a revolution, the Iran-Iraq war, decades of sanctions. It's prepared for assassination, invasion, and isolation. Regime change is not simply about the removal of one man, it's the removal of a system. And that system, in Iran, is built for endurance, even if it's wobbling, even if it's weak. It's built for endurance. Trump's hints at regime change are not part of a strategic doctrine. They're political mood music designed to please two audiences and himself. The hawks like John Bolton, who believe bombs can fertilize democracy, what complete bosh, and the MAGA voters who loathe endless wars but love rhetorical swagger. That's bosh as well. He cannot have both. Trump cannot have both things. If regime change is the goal, then America will have to occupy Iran, a nation 4 times the size of Germany, with 90 million people and regional militias embedded like nerves across Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, and Yemen. This isn't Baghdad in 2003. This is the global Pandora's box that he's about to open because he's got rats in his wig, in his comb-over. Ants, well, maybe ants in the comb-over. I've been staying in this ridiculous little hotel room in North Oxford, covered in ants. It's extraordinary, not only the heat, but the ants. I wish some of those ants would go and bother President Trump. At least then he'd have something to think about. Instead, with nothing to think about, he presses the button on disaster. To be perfectly frank, therefore, American credibility is shredded by Trump. Who would negotiate away their weapons after witnessing what happened to Saddam, what happened to Gaddafi, and now what's happened to Tehran mid-negotiation? Regime change is not a strategy. It's a sermon preached by those who've learned nothing from history. And yes, is change possible in Iran? Yes, but not like this. Political transformation in Iran must come from within. There are indeed opposition forces, fractured, exiled and disorganized, but still alive. Activists like the Nobel laureate Narges Mohammadi, exiles like Prince Reza Pahlavi, and secular reformists who risk their lives for democratic reform. But as Majid Golpour rightly observes, they lack a common charter. They're not united. And the bombs have not united the opposition, they've united the people around the flag. Wartime patriotism may not love the regime, but it hates foreign invasion more. Nationalism trumps dissent when bombs fall. That's the paradox. The more the West bombs, the more it delays the very regime change it claims it wants. It's no mere thought experiment here. Oil prices have surged and will surge more and more and more. Global flights have been rerouted, more will be rerouted, more will be stopped. If you want to go to Saudi Arabia, you can't now from Heathrow. You have to go through Gatwick on some sort of horrible little plane. 3,800 Australians, 250,000 French citizens, tens of thousands of Filipinos are fleeing the region, Chinese citizens as well. The Houthis are threatening US ships. Iran is likely to quit the Non-Proliferation Treaty. And the most damning effect, Iran now has every reason to build the bomb it was hesitating to finish. They have 60% enriched uranium. They only need to take it to 90%. They will. This is what happens when you blow up democracy with a bunker buster. Is regime change in Iran a credible threat? Militarily, no. Without catastrophic escalation. Politically, no. Not without a unified opposition. Diplomatically, no. Not with the US acting like an arsonist in a fire station. It's fantasy politics. The kind dreamt up by men who mistake slogans for strategies, tweets for treaties, firepower for foresight. And so, here's the warning. Regimes do fall, yes, but rarely because foreign powers wish it. They fall when their own people rise. And for that to happen, they must be given the dignity of deciding how, when, and why. Not the insults of bombs from some man hiding behind the Resolute desk in a wig or a bad comb-over, riddled with flatulence.